These days, finding a destination in the world that's not overrun by tourists feels like mission impossible. But what if I told you that in the heart of Asia, there is a place where you can enjoy unmatched natural beauty without anyone around? Welcome to the Mangistau region of Kazakhstan. Never heard of it? Don't worry, you're not alone. Central Asia is a very little known part of the world. While places like Uzbekistan are slowly starting to appear on the radar of tour companies, Mangistau only receives a handful of travelers every year. This makes it one of the last few places in the world where you can really get off the beaten path. My way into Mangistau is the city of Aktau, the capital, with convenient direct flights from Istanbul. Oil is big business here, considering that 25% of the black gold extracted in Kazakhstan comes from Mangistau. If you want to get a sense of how important this natural resource is to the region, just look at the giant cemetery of Beket Ata, just outside Aktau, where some of the monumental tombs and mausoleums have been decorated with the bas-reliefs of oil drills. There's really no way of visiting Mangistau without a guide and a jeep, unless you're very good at driving off-road and at finding your way around the desert. Tours of the region typically include a driver, meals, and camping equipment. Technically, you can do the tour without camping, for a number of reasons I do, but that will entail some extra driving every day and perhaps an overnight stay in a mosque. More on that later. The 4-day customized tour my friend Christina and I are on starts in Aktau and ends 5 days later at the Kazakh-Uzbek border at Tazen. For prices and details on our tour, check the video description. The tour starts immediately after we land early in the morning on a Sunday in late May. Our first stop is mysterious Torish, known as the Valley of the Balls. The name is self-explanatory. For several kilometers, the hilltop is littered with thousands of spherical rocks of all sizes. Locals call them koi tas, stone sheep. There are a million very odd theories about the stones, ranging from dinosaur eggs to extraterrestrial objects. And I have to admit, the explanation of the complex geological process that created them over millions of years is not quite as intriguing. On the other side of the hill, our super guide, Askat, shows us a tiny blue door stuck in a giant boulder. It may look like the home of a hobbit, but inside there is actually one of Mangistau's many underground mosques. Archaeologists and historians have only just begun to study this region, which means that a lot of the information we have comes from very few sources, hearsay and legends. According to one of them, one day poet and mystic Ahmad Yasawi, who greatly contributed to the spread of Sufi Islam in Central Asia, gathered his students with the aim of sending them out to preach across the world. Because there was over 3,000 of them and he didn't want them all to go in the same direction, Yasawi invited each of them to shoot a dart through the shanirak, the round hole on the roof of a yurt. Where the dart would land, they would go and preach. 362 darts are said to have landed in Mangistau, and that's why the region is nicknamed the Land of the 362 Saints. Could this be the resting place of one of them? What immediately strikes me about Torish is that we're completely alone. With the exception of a Dutch solo traveler who is bravely driving his jeep around the region and leaving just as we arrive, there is nobody else around. Just us, thousands of rock balls, and an oceanic steppe burnt by the sun. At every turn, Mangistau impresses me. From Kokala, where we explore the rock formations and stop for lunch, to the majestic Sherkala, which people say resembles a yurt. The ruins on top of Sherkala are believed to have been part of a caravanserai and a fortress belonged to Jochi, Genghis Khan's firstborn child. Day 1 ends with a walk around the massive valley of Ayrikti. By now we're completely exhausted and in need of a shower, so we arranged to stay overnight in a yurt camp nearby. There's no phone coverage here, and we really feel like we're in the middle of nowhere. On day 2, after a late start, we make our way south, direction Karynzharyk, the most remote of Mangistau's natural wonders. To get there, our driver opens up a GPS-powered military map on the car display, telling him at all times how far the car is from the right route. It is comforting given that the road is not really a road and the place is not particularly hospitable to those who lose their way. The 3.5-hour drive to Karynzharyk, near the border with Turkmenistan, is excruciating, courtesy of the potholes the size of our car dotting the road all the way to our destination. Askat later tells me that most drivers are reluctant to drive down to Karynzharyk, especially when they're not part of a caravan, because of how isolated the place is. And isolated it is. When we arrive, we're completely alone in one of the most spectacular places I've seen. We admire the otherworldly barren landscape of this depression, which is covered by a salt lake that divides the Ustyurt Plateau from the Mangistau Peninsula. 5 mountains pop out of the salt flat. 3 are next to each other and are nicknamed the Three Brothers, while the other 2 stand alone in the middle of the wide expanse. I immediately think of the southwest of the US, with the important difference that here there is no one else around. No matter where we look, we don't see any signs of other human beings, a refreshing and strangely unsettling feeling. The only sound we hear is the wind. We walk down the ridge to explore a bit, and time seems to have stopped. We feel like we've just landed on another planet, and if it wasn't for the changing light, we wouldn't know how fast or slow time is going by. Karynzharyk gives us an exceptional sunset. I feel so privileged to experience such a spectacle without anyone else around. The following day, we drive out to the Beket Ata mosque. Beket Ata, who lived between 1750 and 1813, was a sage and Sufi master people relied on to resolve controversies and provide guidance. Saints are normally not worshipped in Islam, but they are in its Sufi variant. Like everything else, religion in Kazakhstan is a mixture of different beliefs and practices, including those of shamanism. Another reminder that Central Asia has always been a crossroad where people, customs and creeds meet. To reach the mosque from the entrance on the mountaintop, we have to walk down a 1.5-kilometer trail under the scorching sun. It's 36 degrees, and I'm sweating through my clothes, but try to forget about it by enjoying the stunning views around me. The mosque itself, carved out of the chalk side of the hill, is nothing to call home about, but it is the main pilgrimage site of Mangistau, receiving busloads of worshippers on a daily basis. After a very hard climb back to the entrance and a quick lunch with worshippers in the mosque's guest house, we're back in the jeep. We're going to Bojira, the highlight of any trip to Mangistau. This huge valley is constantly compared to Monument Valley in the US, but it is possibly much more impressive, as well as completely white. From the upper panorama, the place looks like the moon, and the views are simply jaw-dropping. I hop from rock to rock at the very edge of the crevice, for some reason thinking that doing so in my sandals is a good idea, searching for the best angles to take photos. Mangistau is heaven for photographers, even amateurs, and the beauty of Bojira and its bizarre rock formations leaves me completely speechless. One hour later, we're down in the valley, at the foot of 2 giant tusk-shaped mountains. We're camping here for the night, or at least that's the idea. After a stunning sunset and a pleasant dinner with another group of travelers, drama unfolds when we are literally chased out of the desert by an army of giant bugs attracted by the light of the camp. We believe they are sun spiders, also known as winged scorpions, for the incredible speed at which they run. In theory, they're not venomous, but nobody in the group is willing to stick around to find out for sure. I'm too grossed out to shoot any video of the bugs, but this is what they look like. Cute, huh? An hour and a half later, we're back at Beket Ata, where we spend the night in the guest house, which is really a giant communal room where people sleep on thin mats laid on the ground. Needless to say, I don't get much sleep at all, and the following morning I feel tired and dirty, but it isn't every day that you run away from giant spiders in the desert and seek shelter in a mosque. I believe they call it adventure. For our last day in Mangistau, Askat has prepared an amazing itinerary for some of the most incredible landscape I've seen in my life. In all these places, we're once again totally alone and feel like the first explorers to ever set foot on this spectacular land. In the morning, we check out Bokti Mountain, which proudly features on the 10,000 tenge note, and Kizilkup, nicknamed Tiramisu Valley for obvious reasons. This is perhaps the most bizarre place, where erosion has really outdone itself. As I walk down the ridge in the middle of the valley, or try to, I feel like I'm stepping on the spine of a petrified primordial creature that might wake up at any moment. What an amazing place. Nature really pulls all the stops in Mangistau. Our last taste of its immense beauty is the gigantic salt lake of Sword to Spire. On one side, we enjoy views of the limestone slopes of the Ustjur Plateau, which millions of years of exposure to the elements have turned into columns, arches, and ravines that form a pattern so consistent and precise that makes it hard to believe this is the work of nature and not of a skilled sculptor. On the other side, there is nothing but salt. As I walk on the massive salt lake and hear the salt creaking under my weight at every step, I look around in complete awe. Once again, I forget the sleepless nights, the dirty toilets, the lack of showers, maybe even the winged scorpions. This is how magical Mangistau is.